Hi, I'm Leslie and welcome to my video. I'm going to be speaking of my sphere of influence, which number one is the staff that I lead, and also my children. I'm going to focus on my staff. I want my staff and have guided my staff to be knowledge able, which means they are not just gaining knowledge, they are actually putting it into practice based on their understanding of their skill sets and their strengths. So not just putting it into practice where it doesn't work for them, but putting knowledge into practice that actually works for them. I also am co-creating new perspectives. When I began this department, there was a silo mentality, and breaking down the silo mentality took a while, but I wanted my department to understand that because we were new, we were dynamic, and we would iterate on a dime. And if this was something that they couldn't function under, that this probably wasn't the position that was best for them. They chose to dive in, and our department over the past 3 years has grown by over 80% in number and revenue. So they have learned how to be dynamic in their focus and approach to change, as well as working together to iterate best practices. Also, teaching open-mindedness to change, and that was based on research as well as discussion, so just not feelings alone. And transparency is important in this process as well. I value the rugby approach, which was shared by Hirotaka Takeuchi and Ikujiro Nanaka. The rugby approach is a dynamic approach, one that takes a lot of iteration, as you know, on a rugby field. It has overlapping development phases, which is what we always are working on with what occurs in my department. Multi-learning is going on between team members where they are sharing with one another and learning best practices. Subtle control. I am not a micromanager. I do not like to micromanage, and so there is subtle control so staff members can remain autonomous using their skills and strengths in finding out what works for them the best, and then also discussion on how to best apply that with the team. And an organizational transfer of learning is occurring. The staff are listening because they are backed by a department. They all have different regions, and they help one another out. They go to each other's schools. They're able to sit and speak into each other's classrooms and speak with different administrators, and they don't skip a beat. They're learning from each other in each other's territories. They also come up with ideas to enhance the process, and as I shared, there is a division of labor, and they are self-autonomous. Growth. I try to give projects to my staff members that will utilize their strengths. I don't give them rules or protocols for the projects. I just give them a project, and it's up to them on how they want to handle it and what the outcome is. Of course, we'll be discussing that as well. I also have my staff sit in on CCU undergrad courses on campus, so they're able to glean not only from our professors, but also from the interactions with our students in a class prior to going to their high schools and sitting in the high school classes to see where the high school classes are in relation to the bar set by our CCU staff. The way to improve and continue in this dynamic approach is in offering more projects for my staff to utilize their skills, but ones that don't put them in a bind with what they're already engaged in. To continue to send articles that not only focus on the aspects of their position, but also help them to learn how to be more creative personally. And then to create a climate that brings about organizational transition. Thank you for listening.